Hello everyone. Welcome to my series of videos on multimodal transcription. I'd like to start by saying that what I'll be doing in this series is a demonstration of how to put the multimodal transcription conventions developed by Lorenza Mondada into practice. So really it is a practical demonstration of how the conventions work and going through an example step by step of how I do multimodal transcription. But I do recommend, to get a full understanding of the conventions, to read the description of the conventions written by Lorenza Mondada. Here is a version of it that is in the Cambridge Handbook of Methods in Conversation Analysis. I was very pleased to be able to invite Lorenza to contribute a chapter on multimodal transcription that appears in the appendix of the handbook. It walks through the conventions step by step and explains what each one is and illustrates how it's used. These conventions are also available freely on Lorenza's website, which you can see here, and she updates them regularly. So you can always check her website to get the most up-to-date version of the conventions. Now, for the more analytical background, the theoretical background behind multimodal transcription, I recommend reading her 2018 article in Research on Language and Social Interaction. It goes through the conceptual, theoretical underpinnings and foundations of multimodal transcription and how it figures in research on multimodality. So I definitely recommend checking that out, and I won't be talking about these issues in this series of videos, which are focused more on the practical implementation and use of the conventions rather than their theoretical implications or underpinnings. So for this demonstration, we will be using the video that we have used in a previous CA Methods video looking at Donald Trump pretending to work at a McDonald's. And what we'll do is we'll start across the series with a transcription of the talk based on standard Jeffersonian CA transcription techniques, which is the way I recommend that you begin your multimodal transcriptions, first by transcribing the talk and audible conduct, and then moving on to inserting multimodal transcriptions. By the end of the series, we'll have a multimodal transcript that represents certain gestures and embodied actions that occur in this piece of data, and we'll also insert some screenshots into them. So I just want to briefly show you, by looking at the multimodal version of the transcript, how these conventions work. Of course, I'll walk through this as I'm doing the multimodal transcription, but it can be helpful just to be able to read a multimodal transcript even if you're not going to produce one. So firstly, you'll notice that the formatting of a multimodal transcript looks a little bit different than a standard CA transcript. Typically, the lines that would represent a Jeffersonian transcript are in bold, whereas those that are multimodal using Lorenza Mondada's conventions are in a light gray, or at least not bold. That's the first thing that you notice. Symbols are used to indicate the beginning and end points of embodied actions. So the embodied action is delimited by its end and start position. And these are noted very precisely as you can manage in the multimodal transcript through a particular symbol. You can use any symbol you want, but what's important is that each multimodal resource for each participant has a different symbol. So in this transcript, I've chosen the plus symbol to represent all of Trump's manual actions and gestures, manual gestures. Later, there is a handshake with the owner of the McDonald's. Now, he has a manual action as well as he shakes Trump's hand, but we can't use the same symbol to represent his manual actions as Trump's. So we see, for example, Trump's manual actions being represented with the plus, and the owner, we chose to represent them with the asterisk. Now we can also see that we can represent gesture phases in the multimodal transcript. We indicate the exact point at where a preparation phase begins with the delimiter symbol, and then we use a series of full stops to indicate the preparation phase. A hold phase is usually represented by a continuation of the transcription of the stroke phase, and then there is a retraction phase. And I can see now that there are some alignment problems here. These alignment problems often occur when you insert symbols like these pound signs for the figures that we added, which knock the other components out of alignment. So adjusting things back into an alignment is a constant part of multimodal transcription. Just one last point. The figures that are shown here are anchored to exact moments in the interaction. And so we use this convention of inserting a pound sign or a hash symbol into the transcription of talk, and then labeling it as whatever figure it is, figure 1 through whatever. And then we can put this figure wherever we like in principle. Some journals want the figures to be separated out. Sometimes they're embedded within a transcript. But the key point is that we're indicating the exact moment at which this screenshot comes from. So really, one of the most important aspects of multimodal transcription is that the conventions allow for a very high degree of precision. And that's essential for doing research on multimodality and research in conversation analysis generally. So over the course of the next videos, you'll learn how to use these multimodal transcriptions step by step and how to insert figures into them at the end. So as always, I hope you find these videos useful, and I hope they allow you to embark on multimodal transcription for yourself.